Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Function with this installment is just the subtitle, Ravager. Everything else about the movie is great. It fits. Why does it fit?
I feel like the title fits. Let's see here. Hold on. We got 1, 2, Lord of the Dead, Oblivion. Oblivion is a solid title, but I feel like Ravager because the whole idea is like the world is ravaged, right? Or you would think so in the dream world, because in the supposed real world, we could say, is it the real world? Reggie is, well,
I mean, get into that.
I was gonna say we can just get into like the whole synopsis real quick too. If John, if you want to take it away on this one.
Yeah.
Maybe we pick up right where we left off, and this is a Reggie adventure.
Yeah.
This is
which was a nice surprise.
This is a full-on Reggie adventure.
It was a nice surprise.
Little appearances by Mike and then eventually Jody, but it's
like
it's the conclusion of Reggie. Like,
stop.
Fill out the Reggie story.
That's the whole series is Reggie. Like, in the first film, it's like, okay, it's about Mike, it's about Jody, but no, Reggie took over, and you know what? It fits.
Do you think Coscarelli was going for that all along, or was it just sort of like it flowed into Reggie from Mike and he ran with it?
Ran.
Like that, yeah. I think it flowed into Reggie.
I've seen, I know about doing that. I hate plugging writing and stuff, but I've seen, characters grow on their own and change the entire storyline because of them. Rose being the one I'm thinking of, Ryan, and John.
Yeah.
But that whole thing. But it feels super exactly on point for this movie, or for the end of the franchise, too, that he decided to stop, denying the truth that this is a Reggie story.
I think it sort of gets there in Phantasm 2. And I think it's more born out of that changing casting to go from the original Mike to James LeGros and then back. So it's sort of like less the opening for that one consistent presence through the whole series.
Right. So for those of you guys who haven't figured it out yet, by the way, this is our last podcast episode on the Phantasm series. So it's Xenomania, and we're finishing up Phantasm with, it doesn't officially have a number in the title, by the way. So it's Phantasm Ravager. Almost like it's a standalone.
I thought it had like a 5, like the V5, right? No.
Well, it depends on where you find the title. Or was my eyes deceiving me? No, they probably weren't, because certain places I found it, I couldn't find, I just said Phantasm : Ravager. In certain places was Phantasm 5, and then Ravager was like a subtext in it too. So I don't know which is real, which is very fitting.
Because it's a phantasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The timelines and dimensions in this one are probably the hardest to follow.
Oh, I think it's the most stark. It's the first time in the entire franchise where I figured out what he was saying the whole time, quickly. And not to say that I didn't like that in the first films, but it was, we'll get into it, but that was a bit of, burying the lead a little bit with the not liking the title Ravager. I liked it because Demeter and some other stuff I'll bring up later on all cycles right into that. Yeah, it's very in your face for mythology, but it also works well. But it still doesn't lead to a definitive conclusion about the tall man, or what actually happens at the end. And we'll go through the synopsis there, guys. Further on, we'll tell you when the heavy spoilers are coming once again, because I don't want to just just ruin any chance of you enjoying this. But the ending is somewhat open-ended. You don't definitively know exactly what happens. Somewhat. John's doing it because, you're right.
Yeah. I think there's a way to view the end where it's very concrete.
Yeah.
Maybe not getting to the end, but the end itself, and how this story all ties up in the end, I don't think is necessarily concrete.
That's a perfect way to describe it. And also infuriatingly vague, but it has to be because you can't be specific, right? So just to jump back to where you were in the synopsis, it picks up right where the last movie left off again, and it's once again like this. It's fifth verse, same as the first. Reggie is chasing Angus Scrim, aka the Tall Man, through yet another desert. But this one takes a bit of a wild turn, right, Ryan? Like it doesn't take long for it to go.
No, because it flips back to what is I guess you can call it the phantasm realm, which I'll call it, and then what is the real world, where sadly Reggie, which John informed me today, in the movie the character has dementia, and Mike keeps visiting him and checking on him. In this real world, I'll just say that like that. And John was saying like a couple of years later, the dementia actually did happen to him. So it's like, it's ironic in a way. It's a sad irony. And it's like, I feel like watching the franchise from the beginning to like the end, like I got a little emotional for Reggie, because you see how the character grows, and it's like, man, and he could have gotten some tail in this one. Dawn did come down, and she was like, "Hey, Reggie," and he's sleeping on the couch, and I'm like, man, he finally could have gotten some. Well,
Like real tail.
Yeah, a
not
real
tall
one.
man
yeah,
tail.
it wasn't the tall man this time.
By the way, I love that version of the Tall Man shows up in this movie as well. That was like, oh, what a slap in the face that your old girlfriend's back.
The lady in lavender.
In lavender.
Yeah, Lady in Lavender was like all morphed out and
I like those
anyway.
callbacks, like throughout the
yeah.
film. Like they did some callbacks from, like, especially the second one, where he's like, "I will give you your family back." He's like, "I don't want my family back. I want my friends."
Which
Wanna
want
find
my
a nice
friends.
street woman.
it's been a
Yeah,
while
my
since we did Phantasm 2. Did we know he had a daughter?
I didn't.
I thought they just said family. It was just
Yeah.
family.
But in
You have to
this
throw
one,
in a
it's,
kid to spice
do you
it up.
want your wife and daughter back, or they?
He's like,
And
"I'll
that
take the
was
daughter."
like stunning revelation.
The daughter that never was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Or was
in
she?
some dimension she was.
Ooh, okay.
That's the thing. So we could start into that topic right now.
They
That's a good
reveal
segue
multiple
into what's
dimensions
real,
in
what's
this with a
not.
million tall men.
So
That means
Mhm.
Angus wrote a million linear notes for the Beatles, which is pretty cool, in multiple dimensions.
in multiple dimensions. But they go into that rust planet thing where it almost looks like Mars, and that's sort of his realm. And then there's a multiverse sort of concept there. What he was actually trying to do with that, I don't know. If it was just multiverse stuff that he was throwing together to make it make sense, great. And like maybe those are all alternate worlds that have already been ravaged.
I think that's what it
and he
is.
makes
I
his
think
way
he is
through
an
each one like a
interdimensional
disease,
plague.
that kind of thing.
Yes, and he's just destroying.
Yeah.
It's like Galactus.
Okay.
In its own
Interdimensional
way.
plague. Well, I was gonna say there's a lot, like you can tie that into almost everything. We
Not
could even
not
tie it
tonight.
into the Dark Tower series,
Not tonight.
Ryan, but we're not gonna. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Not tonight. But that's what happens in Roland's homeworld of Galit, where what are the territories really, where it's been ravaged already. But I don't think it takes away from the movie either, because there's also the subtitle or the sort of question where what's real? Is he actually making this up in his head? Because Reggie finds himself in a scene soon thereafter in the hospital, and he's got dementia, like Ryan said earlier. And Mike shows up, who's now not the main character, which is sort of fun. And he's like, "You're just crazy." And so we don't know if it's a trick by
And
the tall man.
that scene
or if
where
he's got
they
dementia.
first show Reggie in a wheelchair is just so jarring. It's
It is.
the opening. You see that he's aged some in the years since 4 came out, but when in those scenes in the nursing home, he looks.
Yeah, he does. I feel like it's with the makeup. It's with the makeup, because
It's
when you
getting
go
there.
into the phantasm realm, his hair is jet black. But when you see him in the nursing home, the hospital, they put gray throughout his hair to make him look older. So That's a nice little blend there.
Angus Shrim looks old as hell in this movie.
He
Boy.
for a lot of
He still
for a lot of the
crushes it, but he
filming
looks
of this,
old.
Angus is really sick. He's
Yeah.
nearing. He died.
Yeah, he
I think
died
right around the time of the release.
Yeah,
He didn't look sick, at least. I mean, that could have been makeup too, but he
I think
he
that
did a pretty good job.
I think that was a heavy dose of makeup and a lot of like
I think he's just soldiered through
really
it.
soft scheduling for him for shoot and just sort of keep him rested and functioning.
Yeah, I can see that.
What did he
Don't
die
remember.
of?
It's a good question.
Old Angus.
No,
'Cause
he
it
had,
was certainly like it wasn't out of the
he
blue.
definitely had a series of health
based on
issues.
this.
I'm trying to look it up real quick.
Internet just says natural causes.
Yep,
Interesting.
it was a
That
sphere.
means they did a good job keeping it under wraps. Good for them. But, I mean,
Too soon.
so we get that sort of vibe. No, we get that sort of vibe. And then
Yes.
immediately though, he's transported to an alternate world again.
He's
from
going
the
all
nursing
over that
home.
world.
And where does he end up after
He's
that?
like in the desert. He picks up Dawn. Her name.
Dawn.
Her name first, Dawn. And he's
lady?
he's still horny as ever. He's like checking her out. I'm like, dude, you're like, I mean, kudos to you. You're like 70 years old, but damn, man. And she's like, nah, I'm not falling for this, Reggie. He's like, oh, come on. I'm gonna write you a song. Gets to play his guitar. Poor guy. I'll
Reggie
say
got
it again.
rich.
He could have gotten some and he fell asleep.
Yeah, that's fine now. That very on the nose for Reggie. So her name is symbolic too, I'm sure. Dawn being a very, meaningful thing. And she turns out to be like, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the only humans
Yes.
you ever had a chance to sleep with?
No.
She wasn't she
No.
wasn't nefarious. I don't know if I wasn't picking up. I
Yeah,
was like,
no,
"Oh,
this is
crazy.
the tall man.
This isn't a bait and switch for old Reg this time." It's the first time that Reggie had a legitimate chance to have carnal relations with a lady who was way out of his league,
Reggie.
and he fell asleep. That's the saddest part of this franchise.
Argue that when we get to the spoiler section of this episode.
Oh, Reg. Yeah, good point. But so as we continue through the timeline of the episode of the movie, it is I guess an episode. As you travel through after that,
He meets Demeter there
where does he meet
at
Demeter?
the barn. After
It's pretty soon.
he hears
it's
noise
pretty
upstairs,
soon.
he checks it out. And it's a pretty cool sphere scene. The sphere's just drilling in her head as she's laying there. Reggie
Mhm.
freaking out. You see the sphere go through the door. He almost gets hit. And I don't know what was going on with Demeter. Like, you didn't speak any English. He's like, oh, you're the farmhand. Help me. And he thinks Reggie is a threat. And that was another good death scene, too, right in the throat. There's the spheres kick ass in this movie.
That one had, the latest bit of comedic element to it too. Demeter knocks the sphere towards Reggie, and then Reggie basically accidentally knocks it right back at him.
It's another very Reggie moment. Demeter's interesting because if Reggie is just as much of a threat to Demeter, if Demeter represents what the god Demeter is, which is growth, fertility, everything that the worlds that the tall man has ravaged don't have anymore. And then so is Reggie also just as much of a threat as the tall man? Like, what's going on? We don't have to get into that. That's a wild card question. But it's true. So Reggie ended up killing it. Not necessarily Angus. Well, I say Angus, but the tall man. And I mean, when he's driving around in this gas guzzling car, which was stolen, by the way, we forgot to talk about that, how the movie begins, right? Where he's chasing his car thief.
That was-
and then
The
I-
whole
I like
scene
that
in the
scene.
car. Yeah, with the gun in the center console, and then
Yeah.
no, it's really in the glove compartment. It's like,
Poor guy
wild.
died in his underwear.
Old Reg. But yeah, that's the
Barracuda,
I can't believe at
1971.
this point, I forgot what kind of car it is. Yeah.
Judah.
I have dementia. Yeah, the Barracuda, right? The guy stole a 71 Barracuda. I almost called it a Charger.
Game over,
Maybe that
man.
ended-
Game
end
over.
the episode right there. That would have been it. Game over. So yeah, post Demeter, Reggie is then well, this is where we get into heavy spoilers, right?
Well, I kind of
After Demeter.
spoiled the
Well, soon
Demeter.
after.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were minor. I mean,
Well, it's okay.
the father from the
That part
Quints.
is okay.
Well, from my Disney Channel days, he was the father in Quints. I was like, oh yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. John and I were experimenting with
Probably
substances
beyond
and whatnot
experimentation
at that point.
by that point.
Probably watching the same show, just didn't know the title.
Full on knew what I liked.
Yeah, good pup. Yeah, that was you. You were there, but so yeah, we're gonna be moving into sort of like overall theories and major spoilers for the actual ending of the franchise and the movie now. So if you guys don't want to do that and you want to skip ahead to the top 5, just go to 10 minutes before. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to put a collar on this dog. Go to 6 minutes before the end of the.
What I would say is,
forever, and it drives me crazy, but I
hit
love
the
it.
pause button. Go spend an hour and a half watching Ravager. Come back. You can
was a
and
good
should
plug.
be giving Ravager
Fair point.
an hour and a half. Links.
Yep.
That's one of the great things about this franchise is short. Keeps it concise. Like you don't get these bloated 2.5 hour. I have an hour and a half story. Here's an hour and a half story. Yep.
And that's a really good point. Plus, you guys can also watch it on your Chiller
Shutter's going up.
which only costs $5.99, and not just
$1,
going to
$2.
Shutter's going up.
That's not bad.
Yeah, there's a
second
couple
one
of
that's competing
Scream
with it
Box.
too.
I've never checked
Scream
that
Box.
one
There's, like,
out.
Screams.
Judging by what I've seen, that has
Scream Box
more
apparently is blowing up.
B's and stuff like that. Like more B
Okay.
movies.
That's still cool.
Okay. Screw all of them. Where did you
I
guys
have
watch Ravager?
I have physical copies.
Well,
yeah.
John probably opened up his
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
All right.
Roku.
So this leads me to a question for you guys though. If you have a physical copy of a movie, you put it in, and there's trailers before the movie. Do you always sit and watch the trailers, or do you skip them?
Yeah, I skip them. It's like the VHS days. Like you
skip 'em.
spend like 10 minutes and then you finish your popcorn. The movie starts. It's like, I gotta get my candy now. Hold on. Pause.
If it's if it's new, I'll watch the trailer. But if
always
it's from
watch
like
the
89
trailers.
or something,
And
well, I
the
guess
reason
point
this came to my mind
2016,
watching this
won't do it.
is the trailers that are on this disc are just amazing. Yeah, a Train to Busan trailer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
I
The
bet.
Wailing, which I haven't seen yet, but I've
Okay.
heard is phenomenal. Mhm.
That's an
Like-
interesting one that you haven't seen because that is a popular one.
And then the third trailer,
Like,
Xenomania alumni, Dead Snow 2.
oh,
Yeah. So it's a
Love
cool
way.
bunch of trailers.
Oh, really? Cool, man.
I love trailers.
That's
but
what makes you better than
but
us.
I
though,
really-
John, is you watch
I
the
basically only love
Shows your
trailers for
love-
movies
your
I've
love of the
seen
game.
or like older trailers.
Yeah.
Because like trailer, yeah, I don't need to see most of these
'Cause new
movies
trailers
by the
just tell
time
you the movie.
I'm done with the trailer. They've shown me everything.
Yeah, the art of making a
Mhm.
quality trailer
You-
that breadcrumbs
You don't
into a
have the
film,
in the
it's
world
gone.
guy anymore.
There's
Like
been a
he's
couple.
gone.
Yeah.
You never get that.
Yeah,
You don't.
Yeah, it's true.
We lost that guy.
Maybe that's where we went last in the world.
Mhm.
Like, as soon as he vanished, the movie phone guy is also gone. He was
I
on the
miss the
radio
movie
for a
phone
while, but I haven't
guy.
heard movie phone guy's voice in a while.
Or John mentioned it before. This is the first Phantasm that's not directed by Don Coscarelli. It's directed by a gentleman named David Hartman. And it's also written by David Hartman along with Don Coscarelli. So I feel like the writing, if it was only Don, I think it would have there would have been more like Reggie, like trailing females and like more shotgun action and all that. But I feel like David Hartman gave it more of a heart. And it shows.
So yeah, the seeds
This
for
is-
Ravager
yeah.
start with a web series that Coscarelli, Hartman, Reggie, and Reggie's wife did.
Okay.
which essentially served as Coscarelli's tryout for Hartman. Like, let's see if you can do this. And they just like filmed a series of short videos at Reggie's house. And some of that
Okay.
winds up getting incorporated into this, but that's really the impetus for this.
Plus Avery's script, right?
A little bit. It's interesting because I sort of expected to see an Avery
Yeah.
writing credit, but there's not. It's just the two of them.
Well, did you notice?
So they just cherry picked a little bit of the overall concept of Avery's script and used that when they made this. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
The
But
big
for everybody who
budget,
remembers the Avery
the
script
tall
was
man
the
is
big
taking
budget
over big
script.
chunks of the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have at this
Well,
point too,
You know,
but
that may have happened in this one.
I think an interesting thing to throw out about Hartman also is his entire directing career, aside from like a few shorts and stuff here and there, is animated.
Okay.
Yeah. He's an
cool.
Emmy-nominated
I like that very much.
animation director. And on top of that, he's
what
also
did he
a
do?
horror illustrator.
All
So I
right,
have a
what did
couple
he-
written
what-
down, but I think I stumbled on some other stuff. But one of them is Winnie the Pooh.
Shut up.
He's also got
Okay.
he's got Transformers 1 on his credits.
Oh God,
He-
that's huge though because
Yes.
that movie's special effects were beyond the time.
the
okay.
animated
Like the
Transformers
animated
1.
movie or like the Michael
The
Bay
80s one?
Transformers?
No, I think it was
Right.
later than that.
That's pretty sick too, though. Because I was
Okay.
gonna
I
say,
was
he-
gonna say
one
the
of
he
the-
80s
you
one.
know,
That's old.
So he
didn't
collaborated.
know it was when the new era of
He
Transformers
collaborated
was out.
with
Yeah,
Coscarelli
this guy's
on
young, I think.
John Dies at the End, on
Okay.
Bubba Hotep, and then on the
So they had a
the web
relationship.
series. Yeah, it's not like he just picked. Yeah, he's not. It's
He's
not
had his
like
fingers
somebody
in
he
some
just
pretty sweet
picked out
pots.
of the blue randomly to do this. And Hartman's also. I'm gonna plug somebody else's website in this. Go to sideshowmonkey.com. That's David Hartman's horror illustrator website.
Okay.
And he's done. I was looking at it. It's recognizable artwork for Rob Zombie. Like some of those really recognizable Rob Zombie images are his. Yeah.
El Super Bisto.
Oh, cool, man. I remember El Super Beasto, man. Great reference. I forgot about that. We went to one of Kim's friends' houses. Shout out to Jillian and Tom. And sat down. I had no idea what I was in for. And he was like, "You want to watch something?" And it was literally how it went down. And we just sat down. I think I had like a Miller Lite. And we were just watching El Super Beasto for 2 hours. It was wild.
It's a whole other level of world. Just like, yes.
That and Metalocalypse and stuff. those are
Ramble to
great-
Death
great for,
Dealer.
like altered evenings. It was sad when you saw Metalocalypse at 3:30 though. Yeah. Awaken. That was one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah, they had
They had
They
they
toured
had
it.
an album and whatnot
He's
too that
toured
correlated with the
Deathcore.
show, I think.
Brandon Small.
Yeah.
And
That's
like
cool.
if you and now
Wow.
I'm gonna
That's pretty cool.
Peter on metal geekdom here, but if you know metal well enough, you can pick out the dudes in the metal world that those characters are modeled after.
There's definitely a Lemmy.
Oh, definitely. No.
Yeah. I remember.
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
Nathan Explosion is. I got to go back and look it for them again. But like they're, Pickles is almost definitely Gene Hoglan, who's the drummer for almost everybody at some point. He like all those like second level thrash bands like Exodus. He's drummed for them. He drummed for everybody, and then Pokey and the guy whose name I can't remember. They're clearly like some Swedish guys. Clearly, but that's a topic for another day. I'll go. Like I'll start down
Interesting.
metal avenues and we'll.
It's a nice
Yeah.
nice
We'll do a
homage
special episode.
to like great heavy metal musicians. Live watch. Should we live
can do
watch
live
Woodstock
watches.
'99?
So for the viewership, I'm way more new metal. I'm way more new metal-y. John is a purist with heavy metal. Yeah, look, John listens to a lot of different
Yes,
music.
he
We talk
is.
about a ton of music, but John is a metalhead for sure, in the purest possible way.
Disco.
Ryan, what would you
Oh,
describe
yes,
yourself
I
as
am a
with regard
slut.
to music?
Oh,
I think you're a bit of a
well,
slut.
I'm a slut.
Yep.
Yeah, I listen to
Yeah.
rap.
You are a
I listen
slut.
to
You listen to, like,
jazz. I
everything,
listen
don't
to
you?
rock. But first thing I was introduced to was heavy metal, Metallica, Black Album. That was my first like.
Oh, yeah. But now, if you say that to a metalhead,
It's thrash.
then Metallica is heavy
It's
metal.
thrash
They're
metal.
gonna
Give
be like,
you up until 91, Metallica's a metal band,
yeah.
Yes.
and then they
Yeah.
transitioned into a hard rock band.
Oh, with
Yeah,
Load, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Load was
mean,
more
even
hard
with
rock,
the
That's fair.
Black Album starts that transition.
but it's slow because you still have that thrash in it, but then you can
Yeah.
hear like the strums of the guitar being more
Yeah.
rock. But it's like
Yeah, I
Megadeth.
mean,
I noticed same thing.
when you pop Nothing Else Matters on an album, you're starting to
Megadeth, too.
transition away from being a thrash.
Yes.
100%. So, by the way, the just to give you an idea of Nothing Else Matters, the surgical team that did my surgery, they had Nothing Else Matters going on the TV in the OR. Well, that's what they asked me if I wanted to change the music, and my first response was, I want you guys to listen to whatever the hell makes you work at your best. And the plastic surgeon that was there started laughing, and then I was like, no, but in all honesty, I don't think there's any better song you could have on right now than Nothing Else Mattered.
All right,
And it's like I think it was probably a minute and
I'll
a
give
half
you
later,
one.
I was out
Raining Blood
because
Slayer.
they put you down, but that would have been a much different vibe. I would have come out with like
Like,
6 arms.
Like, just
and have
the last thing
like,
you hear
dude,
is
that
that
would have been
scream in the
all
intro.
Phantasm V.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
I still haven't settled on a title yet, but I came up with a story I wrote with what would be worse than dying while going under for surgery. Because they put you down. You don't know. You're just done. So I was like, that's not terrible. That's not a terrible fate. What would be worse? And I wrote a story about waking up in an alternate reality. And then like it's all fucked up and dystopian and I'm traveling home. It's gonna come out in the collection. But yeah, that was inspired by
That's a
like,
really good
oh,
idea,
shit, that would
actually.
suck. Okay.
I
we'll do
think that should
instead.
be the title.
And he comes out. He goes under for a surgery for
I
his
think
like
he just
arm or
titled
something,
it.
but he comes
Oh
out with a
shit,
robot
that would
arm.
suck.
Which should be the title.
Yeah.
Oh shit. You know what? I'm gonna start writing. Oh shit, that would suck. Right after this comes out in May. John, if it makes any money, you're entitled to some of it. Get a lawyer.
Yeah, that'll suck.
Oh shit, that'll suck.
Oh
Not
shit, that'll suck.
That will suck. I want to make sure it's titled correctly. Yeah. All right. But we got to get back to the movie. But that was probably my favorite side tangent like ever. We went very far in very different ways. So we're back. We're towards the end of the movie. The final confrontation with Angus, or I'm sorry again, the tall man, and Reggie, begins. And then, what is their?
Well, I
final
was going to say we
confrontation, fellas?
skip. I want to talk about real quick the giant spheres. No, you're good. I was going to say like the spheres.
Okay,
These
my bad.
spheres are awesome in this.
Oh.
First off, you have a huge ass giant sphere, and like a few scenes destroying buildings like Godzilla style. It's and it's not like you can tell it's like cheesy CGI, but it works for this movie. You're like, okay, this flows nicely, especially when Reggie's looking at it. I was waiting for like a drill to come out to go after him because I'd be like, oh, he's like he lost his chance to like get fucked, and now he is gonna get fucked right now. And I was waiting for it, and I was like, all right, this would be a nice little irony scene, funny scene, and then he gets pulled back. But there was one where it came out like as a spike and it goes into one of the guy's heads and it explodes. I thought that is my number one sphere kill of all the films. It was just cool.
Or scanners of them. head exploding. Yeah.
And I want to
So
touch on
giant kaiju spheres.
most famous character in this whole movie, the hospital. Well, I mean, sort of.
The hospital's a character.
We're entering the
So that-
Twilight Zone,
The
gentlemen.
hospital themes are filmed at the Linda Vista Community Hospital, which, if you're sharp-eyed enough, is not also used in Day of the Dead 2 Contagion, Pearl Harbor, End of Days,
Oh.
ER,
Okay.
some episodes of ER, some episodes of Buffy,
That's
and
the
Lords
one
of
in
Salem.
Venice?
That is a whole mixture. Like, we got comedy, horror, drama.
That's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Like-
And it's also been long believed to be haunted, so you get a whole bunch of
That is pretty
paranormal
cool.
investigators going there.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool too. Yeah. You would imagine once you cordon off the perfect hospital for filming, that everybody just wants to use
Yeah.
that same
Especially if you're doing something creepy
Right.
in a
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
abandoned
Refugee?
hospital that's believed to be haunted.
Just adds to the. You should actually be scared. Don't
scared.
act scared. Be scared. Okay.
A buddy of mine went up to a
In your
hospital
neck of
that's
the woods.
abandoned, and there's, there is a presence in some of these spaces. I'm just gonna say that there is a presence. Not gonna get
I
into
mean,
details, but
there's a presence in
True.
some hospitals that
Sometimes
aren't
I think it's just gas.
abandoned. If you find the right spots in hospitals, they're pretty freaking creepy.
That's
so
definitely
this one
gas.
we went to, well, hospitals in general are
Yeah,
creepy, but
hospitals
this
in
one,
general.
we were just looking for a place to shoot like a short film, and the history was it was a mental hospital, but it also they had convicted killers in there, and what they would do is take them underground to another facility across the way to basically kill them by electrocution, electric chair. So it's like it was like very somber up there,
Yeah.
but it was like a movie, man. Like the storms were coming in, and I'm not even exaggerating. Storms were coming in. We're like, we gotta leave, and it was just like the doors to like the loading bays just started shaking all at one shot. Now the building also was closed because it's asbestos run in there, so no way to get in, and all these doors are like shaking at one time with no wind. That's yeah. We got the hell out of there. I'm not even we got the hell out of there.
I would have too. On the topic of hospitals themselves being creepy or whatever, I think any place laden down with despair or anguish pulls. We may not understand why or how or whatever, but it pulls in that energy, so that you feel there's a vibe. It's like very Matrixy too, in the way you think about it. That sort of like epicenter. But yeah, there's some sort of weird gravity to that sort of
Yes.
place. And that's why hospitals suck. The ends. And this hospital sucks so much, people want to put
There's
it
a
in
bright
movies.
side. It was on ER. It's on ER.
Mhm.
And Reggie was there.
He was
Yeah. So was George Clooney. I like George Clooney. He's fun. I'm just being a clown at this point. But so Reggie was in the hospital that was famous for being in a lot of movies. And then
Mhm.
yes.
he escaped giant balls of death.
Phantasm
probably
V.
Finds
was
Mike
good
in
movie, 'cause the next
another
Phantasm
realm.
movie. And then Mike is,
No,
what does he Mike doing in
this
the other
version of
realm?
Mike
He's
is
not
kind
gaslighting
of
him
like
anymore.
seems like he's the head of a tall man resistance movement. Yes,
Yeah.
very
Some
much,
sort of
very much
John
John
Connor figure. Right. There's a lot of like from this and in this script, but I still don't hate on it. I don't mind borrowing. Especially when there's like a real main course that's theirs and theirs alone. And this feels like that. So he sees Mike,
Well,
and then what does Reggie do with the resistance?
He's kind of
group?
lost. Like it keeps
Yeah,
because
he-
well,
he's-
it's between
Doesn't he leave?
He's almost like
Please.
confused.
yes.
Like it's like so used to fighting this by himself that now that he has allies, he's almost not useless, but just lost. Like this is the fight that they've been carrying
Yeah.
on, and wasn't a part of
And
that
that
fight.
fits.
Do you think it has an effect because he keeps going between worlds? That confusion has a point for it? Because, like, he just
Mhm.
keeps switching back and forth, and he's like, 1 minute it's like the nurse is grabbing him, then the second it's a lurker. So I feel like you can, like, that's part of that script, like, to lead to the confusion.
Yeah.
But I agree, too, that he's been alone the entire time. And this is his swan song. This is Reggie's swan song. This is his movie.
Yeah, I mean, really, for 3 movies, Reggie's been solo hunting the tall man.
Yep.
Which, I mean, it also, this resistance movement also
Yeah,
leads to probably
exactly.
my favorite side character in the whole series. Our little friend Chunk.
Chunk.
Love that.
Oh, Chunk.
Well,
Which is
so
possibly another
in some of the
homage,
reading I did,
but yeah, just the
that
name
character
anyway.
exists partially because Coscarelli felt bad for making dwarves look like villains for 4 whole movies.
That was his way to apologize.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. So you had a Willow character. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, that's a fair
But-
thing to feel guilt about, though. But then again, George R. R. Martin doesn't give it. Well, no, he made
He al-
Tyrion like
I
the
mean, he
greatest
also
hero of
wasn't
the Game of
disturbed
Thrones,
enough to
never
not have
mind.
the same actor be one of the lurkers during Ravager, because he pops up early in the movie in the lurker costume too.
Right.
He's the
They
one who,
didn't
he's
feel
the first
that
lurker who
bad.
gets shot. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He
Maybe
has
it's a
got a
running
kick-ass
joke.
scene too with the, well, we could talk about it. We said spoilers. The grenade scene. That was an awesome scene. I wasn't seeing that for the first time, and he's just like, hey, and he just runs up like suicide, like bomber style, just like grabs him and just, it's like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Like, this guy is crazy, and I don't know if we're gonna cover that now, but that was just a crazy scene. And the aftermath, he survived.
We might as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
There's not much
he
between where we were
survives.
and where
He
that
survives
is.
the suicide bombing.
So-
He was going to sacrifice his life, and guess who's on the other end? Reggie's lost love, Rocky, but no nunchucks. I was disappointed.
In the only post-credit scene
No
in the whole
nunchucks for Rocky.
franchise.
Another callback.
Yep.
So the listeners may not realize what you guys just did, though. Did you just say the end of the movie and then the post credit?
We've
And
sort of
we just haven't
skipped
gone over what it all
the
means yet, but we just basically
major
detailed
part of the
end
ending.
film.
Yeah.
Like we didn't talk about. Yeah, I was gonna say we jumped.
It's like a
right to small
Phantasm. Come
snippet.
on
So
now.
let's explain it all to them real quick.
So
I mean, they're gonna feel phantasmed, all right. What the hell did? He, 'cause he was like,
We-
yeah, in the
We're
post-credits scene
assembling
where
a
Nick Fury
team.
shows
What?
up. They're like, what the fuck?
we get to the end,
Reggie, we need
quite literally, of the movie end of Reggie. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, and maybe it's sort of deeper because you know of his real life struggles now, but it's really a gut punch to see that scene at the end where Reggie is
Yeah.
dying
dying in what amounts to the realest of the dimensions he's been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
That's a great way to put it, by the way.
yeah,
He's not in some fake,
Yeah.
weird
With
scatterland.
Jody
He's,
and
yeah,
Mike.
he's in reality, or at least
and it's
to
like
him.
it's just that moment is so emotional, and then you're like sort of immediately transported to Reggie in the back of the Cuda with a very much alive Mike and Jody. That I don't know, like you'd almost make the case that that's Reggie's afterlife now. That Reggie's
Yeah.
just gone, because if you think about it, Reggie's really the only one who seems to have existed solely as one Reggie. Like you
Yes.
go to these other dimensions, especially in Ravager. There's
Yeah.
Resistance Mike. There's real world Mike who starts out not knowing anything about the Toll Man. And then there's Jody who's been a sphere, who's been dead, who's been whatever apparition he becomes, he's been a sphere. Like Reggie's always just been this one realish world Reggie. You don't meet other Reggies.
I think there's just
Right.
one Reggie
Yeah.
who's just been crossing dimensions.
Yes. One Reggie to rule them all. Something like that. But no, it's true. It's not main character syndrome either. I think it's by design. And that could lead you to back down the path of this is dementia and it's all comes back to Reggie just being crazy. Or it could bring you back down the path of like it's Reggie's phantasm.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not so different than the dementia argument either. I don't like going down that path. I don't like that ending for him, that it was just a fever dream of a man losing his mind. Also don't like that so much because that's what's
But it's
actively
also
happening to the actor right now in his
it's
real
also
life, which
got
sucks.
this
So it's almost
aspect
like
to
prophetic.
it where that ending, him dying in the bed with the two of them around him, the closure and almost the joy that the three of them are still together. That there's not like dead sphere Jody and whatever Mike is at that point. Like it's the real world friendship at the end.
I like that. Because that was what Phantasm was. Phantasm was like a whole bunch of friends making a movie in the backyard and having fun.
Brought it
And
back,
they killed it. And it created like this franchise which was very underrated. It's a very underrated horror franchise. And yes, people, it's a specific taste, but the first one I feel like draws to everyone. It's a definite because it's that mysteriousness it gives. And then you're attracted to the further sequels. But you got to realize the budgets, they fluctuate, and some are higher than others, and you see it. Like, did you find out how much this budget was, John?
I didn't look for it. No, it's not a lot, especially, and it's probably very difficult to accurately calculate just based on it's filmed over 7 years.
Yeah, that's wild too. How much do you think the giant sphere, CGI sphere stuff costs? Like the Langoliers level of CGI that was.
It depends which end of the 7
$24.99.
years they did it. Right, if they had done it in the early part of that, it's probably really expensive.
Yeah,
but if they did it like on towards 2013, it's probably not much.
I feel like they did the war scenes from like looking at it.
that's a
The
fair
actors
point.
seem younger during like the war scenes, and then during the hospital scenes, they looked much older. I mean, that's how it. Like thinking about it now, like I feel like Mike had a little more hair, a little more on the top. I'm talking to the expert right here. He was it's a little to the left right there, Mike. All right.
That's possible though. That is possible. That's how
It works.
they
It
ended
does
up
work
shaking out with
because
the
it's
filming.
supposed to show the different dimensions and all that, which I I don't know. You can think about it too as like a Matrix moment. Like when spoiler alert on the Matrix, when Neo gets pulled out, you can see it like that, like him dying in that hospital bed isn't really him dying, but it's him getting pulled out of that dimension to go to another dimension where he's more comfortable in.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he's well aware of.
listen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
or
when he's
if
super uncomfortable, and
you're
it's just the tall man.
deeply spiritual, he's pulled out of that world and goes to heaven. Because heaven for
It's
Reggie
one
would
fucked
be
up heaven.
heaven
Yeah.
but heaven for Reggie would be in that CUDA with Jody and Mike. That would be heaven
That's
for
fair.
Reggie. And you sort of get that light shining down
And
on him in
possibly
the back seat
Dawn.
too. It's a very emotional, very like I've watched the ending twice to record this now, and like each time I sort of walked away. Like the first time it was just, God, that's sad. But then I watched it again because it sort of started to eat into my brain that is there another level to that that's not sad? Because that I can't really get behind Coscarelli ending it just that down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about, just like the rest of the movie, it's all about perspective. You can see it as sad. Oh, Reggie died. That sucks. Or you can see it as that spiritual sort of rebirth. And it doesn't have to be religious either. You can make it scientific. It is a multiversal film. There's multiple dimensions. He could end up in another one.
With Rocky.
The post-credit scene is what you're talking about,
Rocky
right?
and Kung.
Yeah, that's what you're specifically talking about. Yeah. So the fact that he made that the post-credit scene, though, adds extra emphasis to it. I think it makes it so it has to mean that that's his heaven, essentially. That's what he always wanted. And maybe that's him. Maybe he's just jumping like freaking quantum leap, just hopping into different realms.
And I mean, they really
hammer
home
Reggie's thing.
in Ravager what was important to Reggie. The tall man's willing to give him his family. No, I want Mike and Jody. Twice. I want Mike and Jody back. And he gets them. I mean,
it's his loyalty.
You can,
Just goes to show. Your friends are so much
Rose
better than
before.
your work
She's
and
right
shit.
behind you. Yeah.
Rose before. She's here.
Yeah. But yeah, man, a jury's before. But yeah, man, I think that it ended as it had to do with like Phantasm. It was an unexpected ending to a degree. It wasn't completely definitive. The ending, you can still talk about it. It was very Phantasm, but at the end of the day, it's like it's probably this sort of thing. The fact that Coscarelli sort of farmed out a lot of the work, the script writing and stuff, to a very capable guy was interesting to me because it was the last one. I feel like this was another movie that maybe almost never was, given how it sort of became cobbled together.
Yes.
And I'm glad that it was, because Phantasm deserves an ending. And Angus died. Angus Scrim died like right then, so we never would have had the ending. So I'm glad Coscarelli got his swan song. Angus finished his project. Reggie got the ending. The character got the ending, and the actor got to realize the end. And just like you said, Ryan, Phantasm, and John has been saying this all the time at work too. Phantasm is a very good series, and upon rewatch, you get to appreciate it a lot more than you did in the 80s and 90s. And
it's a recommended watch. It is.
Absolutely. If I were to ask,
just so
should
good.
you watch Phantasm Ravager? I mean, absolutely. Watch.
We don't have like a rating system or anything, but fucking do
What?
it. We're not supposed to be cursing anymore,
number
but we're
one,
leaving that
if
one in.
you watch the first 4
Do it.
and you're gonna back out at 5, like get on it. But get on the whole thing.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think there's many people who made it to 4 and were like, you know what, that's it.
You can bang Phantasm out in a weekend.
Yes.
Didn't watch Phantasm.
You can bang that out faster than Reggie tries to bang
He banged
out
the
all
tall
girls in
man. Come on
Phantasm.
now.
How about that?
Tall man has
How
feelings
about
too.
That's the only girl he made it.
No.
Well, he banged Orbeez too, didn't he? No, he molested Orbeez. Yeah, Bill Cosby Orbeez. That's not good, Reggie. I forgot about Reggie. Reggie's exploits are a little iffy. We chanced upon those in previous episodes.
I mean,
and sort
he
of
is
like
a nice
glazed over
kid,
them
man.
a little bit, but Reggie's got some loose morals. But Ryan did save him. Yeah, he is an ice cream man. Ryan did save him with that. It was the sound of the buzzing that made him look at her.
He had to
chest,
make sure it wasn't a Mary Swanson situation.
her Orbeez. Samsonite. Every time you bring that up, I'm going to say it's Samsonite.
Yes.
The last time we segued into Spaceballs, by the way, because we did the stupid luggage joke. So it was like a perfect pop.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. And I can't
That's
wait.
the end of Phantasm.
I was going to say, I can't wait for next week's episode.
Like and
All right.
subscribe.
Jada can't wait for next week's episode. We're going to watch it on Sunday. All right. Do you guys know what the next episode is?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. John knows.
Go
Do you
ahead.
know? I'm just making sure. It's
Yeah. I made the
Clive
schedule. I better know.
Barker's. Oh, I hope. Clive Barker's
I barely know
Nightbreed.
my name right now.
It's phenomenal.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time, horror movies of all time. And what I love the most about Nightbreed, which we'll talk about when we get into Nightbreed, because we could do a whole other hour on the back of this one on Nightbreed without even watching it again, is not just the amazing lore, the comics, and all sorts of stuff that goes with Nightbreed, but it's the fact that I think the scariest part is the human. And we'll probably get into that a lot in the movies when we talk about it. But but as a kid, watching the scenes with the dude, like sneaking into the house, a Michael Myers style,
it's the mask.
Way scarier than the monsters.
So I'm gonna say,
yeah, the mask does.
And the fact that
like a
no
vibe,
spoilers,
right?
but just a hint, it would be the main villain is someone who you would trust, and that's what makes it even scarier. Stone Cold Steve Austin, DTA, don't trust anyone. Give me a hell yeah, hell yeah. So,
yeah. I wish we had 2 beers to smash together.
Yes,
John. Phantasm, you've barely been gone. Yay! Look at us hydrating. Polar Seltzer, everyone. Official non-sponsor of Xenomania.
Polar's
I'm rocking the.
They do love Polar.
That's right. Hill.
ooh.
I don't know. It's cherry lime though.
What does the chill part do?
That's the chill.
Oh, nice. Yeah, like it's the part that gives you anal cancer. Yay, Coca-Cola Corporation.
Oh God, no.
Clear Pepsi. What? We took
Joe
out the
Cola,
stuff that's
anyone?
illegal in Europe. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, dude, Joe Cola, bacon, egg, and cheese in the mornings. That was like
I
my
think
start
Jolt
to my
ate
day every
the
day
lining
from
of
9th
my
through 10th grade.
esophagus.
And it would only cost me $1.75. Yeah, between Jolt and Devil Springs vodka and Bacardi 141, or it is at 151 rather. We didn't have to have much of the latter, by the way, for it to have done something, I'm sure.
I want to know what Mountain Dew Code
wonder what
Red
it
did
does
to
to
my
your
whole
gut
gut.
microbiome.
Right? That I want to know what's going
What do
on.
you think? That stuff's probably worse than everything we mentioned earlier. I would rather have sex with the lady in lavender.
I still
than
drink
drinking
it.
Mountain Dew Code Red right now.
It's a risk. It's a risk, but I still drink it. I like the cherry. All right.
You still drink it, Brian? Even John. Look at John's worried.
What? I love
Look at
Mountain
John's
Dew
face.
Code Red.
You could have said anything. You could have been like, I ride a motorcycle without a helmet and I do 90 on the highway. And I would be like, man, that's right. That's pretty cool. You said I drink Mountain Dew Code
It's the
Red.
only soda that keeps you up while gaming, guys. Drink Code Red.
I think
black coffee and water.
I think the last
much
person
better
I
for
heard
you.
of drinking Code
It's
Red
also
was
sadder,
in
but-
Zombieland.
Oh, Jesse Eisenberg.
That's
Double
that's a
taps.
reference, by the way. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that how we got all twitchy? All twitchy. Don't they have like a cooler Code Red? Didn't they do like a nutty one for a while? Not like actual nuts, but I thought they did something
Yes, they
crazier
did.
for a little bit where they did double the
Yes.
caffeine of Code Red.
it was
And
Halo
it was
2.
for like Halo 3.
I think
or
it was
Reach
Halo
or
2
something,
though.
Maybe.
Yeah, because that
I
game.
appreciate that stuff. Halo 2.
I don't.
If you still have a bottle of
That
it's worth
bottle is
money.
long gone in my esophagus.
70 times over.
No, I mean full like sealed. There was a dude who found one in his garage fridge. And he had it, and I don't know if he sold it or not, but I remember people were like, "I'll give you so much money."
It's
Just to
experience
taste
of
that
like
experience
30-year-old soda that'll definitely kill you. That'll eat your insides. All the chemicals they're not flushed out. They've been brewing.
It's aged like whiskey. But no, I mean, taste the experience of what it was like when Halo 2 came out. Imagine the difference in how life felt, what a morning felt like that day when Halo 2 was
Babbage's,
launching. and you were about to go
EB
to GameStop.
Games.
Wasn't even GameStop back then? Yeah, you're going to Babbage's, baby. Yep, you were heading to one of those spots. I don't even think GameStop was the spot yet. And you were picking up Halo 2, and your priorities were what?
And science homework
gotta
that
walk
I
the
definitely
dog.
skipped to dual wield with Master Chief.
I think I might have been in college. Yeah, exactly. I think I might have been in college for Halo 2. Not sure yet. It was in the 2002, 2006.
I was gonna say
Dude,
Hold
I
on,
was
wait,
probably
2000
already working where I'm still
2002.
We're
working.
dragging along here.
I was a year away from being.
Yeah, you were probably.
I was a
already-
year away from being
I
working
know
where
exactly
I'm
where you
working.
were probably working. Oh Lord. That's the saddest part of this episode. We're gonna have to wrap it up.
Reggie
everybody.
dies. I've been at the same job for 22 years.
We all work together, by the way.
That's not a bad thing.
We're gonna just see you at the end. Like, I just want to be with Martin and Ryan again. And there's a light that shines on you, but you're in building two.
Listen,
and then
as
you just
long
hear
as I
Angus
still have
Scrim
my
laugh in
hair.
the background. Fiend. Oh man. But
No,
it
you
doesn't
got
just
it.
hurt you, buddy, because it's only a matter of time. This camera's doing a good job of hiding it. It's hiding it. Now, the wind was blowing today and it was going up, and one of our students said I looked like I was wearing a toupee. I was like, shut your stupid mouth. Shut your dumb mouth, you dummy. He's 100% mine, and I grew it with all my love.
You
It's
just put
chia
water
pet.
on it, it grows.
I was still offended, though. I was like, you toupee, you bastard. I'm just going to write down notes all weekend for how to burn him on Monday. But I digress. All right, so we're done with the episodes on Phantasm. We go right into Nightbreed next week, which is really exciting, to be honest with you. And yeah,
So
we're
this
going to
week,
jump into top fives. Here we go, gentlemen.
yes,
Five
actually,
cools?
no,
Top 5 reasons to cry at the
no,
movies.
no, not Five Cools. That the crying was good.
damn it.
Actually, I went with friends that help friends defeat the evil that they're facing in horror movies. So to start it off,
Oh, is this the one
that was
like
my
where
number
Ray
one.
Romano helps
Come
the
on,
guy
man.
kill himself?
No, I'm joking.
No, nobody knows that movie. Nobody knows that movie. It's
No, it's all
that is the
good.
movie we're gonna say. I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up.
I'm
Let you
kind
do
of
your top
curious to
5.
see them being a Ray Romano fan. First movie I went with, number 5, produced by Guillermo del Toro, came out in 2019. It is one of my favorite horror book series growing up. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That movie, it's about a group of friends. It's based on short stories.
Nice.
Since like I guess late 80s, early 90s. In every elementary library had these stories and scared the shit out of us first graders and second graders, and we loved it and we kept coming back for more. And this movie covers a lot of the good stories, my favorite being the spoiler alert, the spider coming out of the girl's face. But it is also a movie I believe should have been rated R. I don't think the PG-13 rating did any justice. But I mean, that's as much as I can go with it. I loved it.
That's fair. They wanted to bring in some of the kids along with us, the OGs that read them and saw them. You're right. They should have
Yes.
just committed. There were
The-
scenes in
the
that
big-
could have been truly terrifying that were actually
With
scary.
that's
I'm
reading
thinking of
that
the
in the
hallway
book
scene.
and then seeing it
Yeah.
live. I was like, yes, and then just as she's just pulling him in, I wanted. That's all I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to.
What-
Well,
Where's My Toe should have been in that movie, by the
yes.
way. That's the scariest story for me in the Scary
Oh,
Stories Telling the
that
Dark.
one's in it.
The
Yep,
kid
that
finds
one's
the
in it.
toe and then they cook it for soup for some reason. But by the way, that I should remind you, by the
Yes.
way, it's those are a lot of those are based on folk legends and things like that too. They're urban legends mixed in with folk legends, and there's some
So
that
I
are just short
haven't
stories, like you
seen
said,
that.
but and some are poems.
I
But
haven't
yeah,
seen that.
There's some
No,
old stuff.
It's good.
I didn't have. I missed scary
You haven't.
stories when I was a kid. Like I basically went from like Hardy Boys to Stephen King.
Okay,
There was
that's
like
fair.
no transition in there. It was just.
Nice.
But wasn't that directed by Andre Overdahl? Overdahl, however you pronounce his name, the Troll
Yes.
Hunter guy. It
Yep.
was produced by Del Toro
Guillermo
and
del Toro.
Is it
directed
produced by Guillermo del Toro?
by the Troll Hunter guy.
Yes. That's what makes it such a good film too, because it's you got a good crew, you got a good cast. The story is decent to bring these stories to life with the witch, and the most important part, like Phantasm, it's all about friendship, which leads to number 4. You can call these two guys friends. They're more like half brothers. In this 2001 movie, co-written by J.J. Abrams, and has like a uncredited role to Stacy Keach. It stars Steve Zahn and Paul Walker as half brothers, with Lily Sobieski as they are terrorized by a trucker on the highway in the movie called Joyride. I do like Joyride. You can say that these two half brothers, Steve Zahn and Paul Walker, become friends over time, and their goal after Steve Zahn basically makes fun of Stacy Keach and calling him an inbred truck fucker, goes apeshit, and they have to like save themselves basically from this crazy truck driver who just toys with them the entire time. It's a fun 2001 thriller. I like it. I still like it. It holds. I think it holds. I don't know what you guys think about it, but you know, I think I don't
Did a
think it's a
long
bad
job,
film.
but I like that quite. That's why you're number
Yeah,
3.
Stacy Keach is a show stealer too. Wait, what'd you say, Martin? I didn't hear you. Oh, my
I
bad.
said I
Well,
just want to hear number 3. I'm going with my shtick of being
number
being
3,
angry about long top 5s. I'm gonna look now. I'm gonna
he
look up
also
Stacy
goes by
Keach while
Sergeant
you're talking about
Sudenko
that.
in the Cheech and Chong universe.
Best
Number
mustache in the
3,
biz besides
I went
Xenomania.
with a whole group
Alright.
of friends, and Tim Curry is still not dead. Sadly, John Ritter is, and it's from 1990, Stephen King's It. I went with the original
Oh.
because that cover freaked me out as a kid,
Yeah.
but it intrigued me and enticed me to watch it. And it's a whole group of friends who go back to their hometown and fight this evil clown. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil it. No one's seen it. Did we spoil it?
And I think we did. Yeah, I think we did a good job and a bit of a deep dive on a
Yes.
tangent in another episode too, because it's Dark Tower related. But can we
Oh
talk about
my-
the gangbang that Stephen
And
King wrote about?
oh
a
no,
gangbang
that
with
was an
kids?
orgy.
Well, actually, I guess it was just a threesome.
Yeah.
But to your, that was an orgy. To your point, though, that was about
Yes.
their camaraderie and closeness more than it was about sex. And it's confirmed by King that that's what he was going for. But cocaine is a hell of a drug. So he kind of missed the mark a little bit for some people. It didn't age well, but I get what he was trying to do with it. Like they were going to die. And
Yeah, I
whatnot.
mean, which is
That was sort of the
fair in
thing.
his own world. Thank you. Yeah,
Anyway,
I love it. I love
good choice.
new one, but the original 1990 still hits. And Tim Curry as Pennywise, it's just Tim Curry. It's amazing.
Best.
But that kind of leads me to
But
number
no
2.
Skarsgårds. Oh, Skarsgårds.
I'm fine with that. We have a John Ritter.
I decided not to say anything because I wanted to get the number 2, but I could have gone into the Skarsgård joke so fast.
There might be
I
a
was like,
little
no,
cameo
no.
from a Skarsgård.
There
All
were
right.
2.
Well, number
I'm
2,
sure.
directed and written by John
In my
Landis,
nightmares.
1981's An American Werewolf in London. Now, it's the main character who gets turned into a werewolf.
That's such a
His
good movie.
best friend is still with him, his first victim. He sees him throughout the entire movie as he's going through this journey of understanding of or becoming a werewolf overall. And his friend, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I feel like he kind of like tries to egg him on to become this beast. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But he's like keeps egging him on throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, no, he's in not a beneficial presence overall. Yeah. And it's also debatable as to whether or not it's really him as the ghoul or if it's just part of his psyche.
That's a
but
good one. But
we're not
you
gonna
speak
get
about ghouls and we speak about ghosts. This leads me to my number 1, 1996, directed by and written by Peter Jackson. It's got a great cast: Michael J. Fox, Jake Busey, John Astin, Jeffrey Combs, Chi McBride, Trinity Alordo. Wow, it's got a great score by
Jake
Danny
Busey
Elfman
makes
too.
everything
It's
creepier.
The Frighteners, one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid.
That's my favorite thing you guys do, by the way. You don't skimp over good music. Every time there's a good score and stuff like that, most of the times, I think, because I'm sure somebody listening, no, he missed it on this episode. But you guys
Well, plus it's
always
Danny
do a good job
Elfman.
of pointing out the music, and I do appreciate that.
And it's a kick-ass movie.
Frighteners does have a kick-ass score.
Oingo Boingo?
I don't know who that is,
No,
but
there's going to be
actually
one
can
person
freak
who's going
out.
to be like, no, it's a name of a band
Is
in
that
the
the
80s.
monster that's in Lake Champlain?
He was the lead singer for a minute.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wow.
well, I won't go into
I'm
that.
a
But
music
yeah,
stunted. Cool, man. Hey, but I will circle back though.
the music.
The Frighteners has great.
I mean, it's
remember the
about
music. It's
Michael J.
great.
Fox. He's
And
a
also
ghost
the movie
hunter. He's
itself is
got
great.
two ghost pals, and they're trying to get rid of the Grim Reaper, played by Jake Busey, but it's just the twists and turns. We need to cover that film too. We need to cover that film.
So good.
No,
They better
it
not ever
should never
remake
be
that
remade.
movie. I don't think it was ever big enough to be remade.
But they will.
It's just good.
Don't say that. It's
Whatever. You can't remake Jake Busey. They should cast his father in the remake as the Reaper, and just don't tell anybody. Just to have it be Gary.
what?
Let's just sit there like, I like corn sausage. Every time he's been on camera, and new clips that over the last year have just been him being full bore crazy. All right, that was Frighteners as the number one.
Oh yeah, follow
John, where
us
can people go
on
to find these
Letterboxd.
lists, by the way.
We're
you
tracking
tell
all our
yours.
lists on there. We're tracking all our
Letterboxd.
episodes on there as well. So you can go and follow us on there.
Hell yes, Letterboxd. I did a deep dive into. John's doing good work on there and chronicling.
Yeah, check
what's
it out.
happening, people. So go see what he chronicled.
Ooh,
The Chronicles of Xenomania.
that's our autobiography.
Was
Doesn't
yes,
have a nice phrase.
and the unauthorized history.
Yeah, it was a stormy night.
All right, John's gonna do it.
Interestingly, your number one was in consideration for my list, but
Ooh,
I tightened
okay.
I tightened it up. I tightened the category up.
Ooh,
So mine is
damn,
It's not up to my level.
man.
For my list.
Frighteners is on every level.
Yeah, exactly.
I went with top
Frighteners.
5 hospitals,
Okay.
but not mental. I left the mental institutes off. That's a whole
Of
other
course
list.
you did.
These are just medical
So
hospitals.
no. Okay, no House on
Different
Haunted Hill,
list.
or maybe. Oh damn it!
House on Haunted Hill. So number 5, we're going to go to my favorite. George A. Romero's Diary of the Dead,
Okay.
which is Diary of the Dead.
Okay.
I will put a Romero
You
movie
love
on
that
any
frame,
list
those
I can.
Movies.
I'll make up a category just to put a Romero movie
Yeah.
on it.
You're a huge Romero buff.
So Diary of the Dead is Romero's found
That's cool.
footage-esque zombie
I love that.
movie, chronicling a group of young filmmakers and the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. And at one point in the movie, they stumble upon a hospital seeking treatment for an injured friend and find that it's just zombie doctors and nurses at this point.
That's a cool premise.
Definitely saw some pretty creepy imagery in there. So jump on to number 4. Feel like I've put this movie on a list before, but I'm going with The Void.
Okay, that's a good choice.
So the Void is like Lovecraftian
Nice.
nightmare, the cult surrounding a hospital, trying to open up a portal to a hellish dimension. It really fits in with the Phantasm stuff too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. And that's like for the listeners, if people have a niche, like George A. Romero might be John's niche is horror, really, but like everybody's got their kind of preference. This type of movie is The Endless, The Void. What is that stupid? What is it called? Black Triangle or some stupid
Was it just
name?
the triangle?
That one where she's endlessly going
The
through
triangle.
loop continuously, and like it might be The Triangle, yeah. And then you get into movies like the adaptation of
You can-
Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, Annihilation. That's another one where there's like this changing of reality. I am so into that crap. So The Void, as soon as he said The Void, I got like, goosebumpy. That's a good one. And the movie itself is just, it slaps. You don't really know what's happening, and it's a little gory, and you don't like, oh, it's a slasher,
Yeah.
it's this, it's that. And
Definitely.
it's way
It
deeper than
turns
that,
where you
yeah.
don't expect it to.
Shut up.
So my number 3 is another one I feel like I maybe have put on a list before, but again, the hospital element is too much to pass up. The Sadness.
Okay. No, you didn't. You didn't
Oh.
put that on there. I don't think.
Okay.
Sadness.
The Sadness is
Call that one day.
a couple separated during the beginning of
sad.
a plague that turns its victims to sadistic maniacs attempts to reunite. So this is just like a pure Hong Kong zombie gore fest. This might be the goriest movie I've ever seen, with some of them. I don't want to go quite to repulsive, but repulsive would be a word that people would use to describe some of these scenes. It's just so well made and so like it's fun, but if you're queasy, if you're squeamish, the sadness is not going to be for you.
So Terrifier.
Also, it's likely you shouldn't be here with us if you're crazy or scheme.
I mean, and really in the sadness, by the time you get to the hospital,
pretty close.
You sort of get into your mind, oh, I can't get grosser from here. There's nothing worse that they can do. And there is.
I get the point is to make us uncomfortable, but hospital gore, for some reason, scalpels themselves as an instrument freak me out far more than
scalpels are going to come up.
I don't like the surgical precision of the
scalpels are going to come up later on this list. Yeah.
Oh, great. Dr. Giggles, number 2.
There's not
Dr.
a lot of
Giggles?
hospital and Dr. Giggles stuff. Number 2, Planet Terror.
I didn't think.
Yes.
The Robert Rodriguez. Rodriguez half
look
of
look at Ryan's eyes
Grindhouse.
light up.
The hand scene.
So
Nice.
it's the zombie half.
All right, it's Grindhouse part.
What I decided was a side of War of the Roses style spousal combat between the doctor's block, Josh Brolin and Marley Shelton. And like she has the greatest lines in this movie. In this movie, like with her syringes, and these are my friends.
Yeah.
A yellow friend to take the sting off. My little blue friend you'll barely feel, and after my red-headed friend you'll never see me again. It's just her series of shots to anesthetize people.
Wow,
which she uses to great effect on her husband. Man.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're not Josh Brolin in that movie though. He was a little. He's off kilter.
Oh, he's a nightmare.
I wish it was Josh Brolin in any movie.
Oh my God, he is.
Nah, I think Josh Brolin and Goonies are all.
Goonies Brolin is.
Go Goonies Brolin.
Short shorts.
I want to be weird crop top working out Josh Brolin in the 1980s. Yeah. Headbands, but the girl's so into me. Josh Brolin.
My number 1 is actually sort of cheating because it's 2, but it's in the same franchise. So number 1, Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills.
Yes.
From hot tubs.
Halloween 2, I think, is the scariest.
Syringes to the eye and temple. Scalpels.
Yep.
And then Halloween Kills. Listen, I know there are a lot of people who are getting crap on that trilogy. I think the first 2 installments are pretty solid, and Halloween Ends is a little messy.
Yes.
The hospital scenes in Halloween Kills with the mob mentality portrayed the way it is, it's just so effective. Like that, those scenes, you can see how people get swept up in that, really.
And struck him down real quick.
Yeah, that works for me. And you go after this innocent guy because one person thinks he saw Michael Myers. Yes.
You know what? I would have been happy in Halloween Kills if they made a Fred Hollister reference. Remember when you killed Fred
Hollister?
Ted Hollister. I'm sorry. Ted Hollister.
Fred's his brother.
It's Fred. It was Fred who was leading the mob. R.I.P. Ted.
That's pretty solid. And I do love Halloween 2 for being super scary. I do. Ryan's gonna go back into the transcript and change the time, by the way, for the beginning from 6 minutes to, I believe we're bordering, I think we're at 19. This might be a new record just because I was bitching about it. It's like a new record for the top 5. Partially my fault though. I butted in a lot this time, but that was funny.
Thank you.
Those were good
Thanks.
top 5s, guys. That was awesome. Great top 5s to end out Phantasm too.
Yeah.
But next week,
Remember
I'm
to
gonna be so
watch
happy.
the
I'm not even
uncut.
sad because next week's gonna be so
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Wait till we do
Okay.
Puppet Master.
Listen, if you're like me and
That's your
you've really
change.
fallen in love with the Phantasm series and you don't want it to end quite yet, go on Amazon, pick up this book, Fiction.
Yep.
It's Don Coscarelli written, all stories within the Phantasm
With a
universe. So if you're not quite ready for Phantasm to end,
Sick.
you got a little more.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome. Dude, this guy should friggin' do something nice for you. You plugged so much of his shit. That's amazing. All right, everybody. Don Coscarelli, better freaking hook up my boy John. All right, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the episode 15 of
Night
Hey,
Breed.
Reed.
Xenomania.
Clyde
We'll see you guys
Barker's
next
Night
time
Breed.
for
Have a good night, guys.